So life continues in the glade. Bakari's very uneasy, but Tick has settled into the new rule of a new wolf, and things are maybe getting back to normal. The pack's much lower, smaller. But I think meanwhile, back in the hollows, Mrs. Polymer, on discovering that Vike hasn't returned, none of the hunters have returned with the wolves that she demanded. So I guess she would send out a search party to try and find them. Has Tick covered... Did Tick cover his tracks enough to hide the bodies and not lead anyone searching for Vike back to the glade? We're still on Chaos Factor 4. Is it likely? I think a lot of blood from just where the wolves were skinned, let alone where they murdered the hunters. Is Tick... The wolves wouldn't have bothered about that. They wouldn't have cared. They might have devoured the humans, but they wouldn't have cared about covering their tracks. Would Bakari Arjun? Perhaps Bakari would have sent him back to try. So I think that bumps it up a bit. Have they covered their tracks? I think on that, I think it's probably 50-50, which on this Chaos Factor brings it down to unlikely. So we need 2 cards. All yeses. 1, 2. Have they covered their tracks? Yes. Yes! So, and that, I think, if we zoom in, is an exception. Oh, wait a minute. That's strange. I'm going to have to zoom right in to view that card. Random event. Interesting. This is my first random event. Zoom out a bit. So, what I've decided for random events is that I'm going to roll a dice to see if this is a random encounter from Forbidden Lands, or is this a random encounter generated... Let me get my book. I'm going to be using the Adventure Crafter, because it works really well with Mythic GM Emulator. And I think at this stage, as it's new to me, I think I'm going to use a system of 1 to 3. It's Forbidden Lands encounter. 4 to 6. It's the Adventure Crafter. So I'm just going to grab 1 dice. Let's get this up. Well, see where we get my encounter from. Oh, so it's the Adventure Crafter. First time I've used this. So let's just have a think about this first though. So it was an exceptional yes that they managed to cover their tracks. So Mrs. Polymer's sent out some trackers, some investigators to try and find Vike and the other huntsman. But it's a big forest, and it's a needle in a haystack. I suspect Vike maybe likes to keep his hunting grounds to himself, and he didn't tell people where he was going into the woods. Yeah, we'll bring you back some wolves, no problem. Make sure you pay up. So it's a big old forest. So they haven't been able to find any trace of Vike, but we know one of the horses escaped. Let's take a look at that quickly. Do they find the escaped horse? I think it's likely, which brings it down 1 card, any yes. It's a no, an exceptional no. So they don't even find the horse. They do not know what has happened to their friend. So that's fine. So let's figure out what this random event is now. I think we need to roll D100 to see what the plot line is. 67. Choose the most logical plot line. Well, actually, we need to add a plot line, and it's probably this one, which I should have added to the list. So, can tick and the wolves remain hidden. I think that should have been on the list. So that is the most logical for this situation that we're talking about. Next, we roll a single D10 to see what the theme is. A 1. Action. 100. So 12 on the action theme is none. So that's easy. Next plot line. Theme is 3. Personal. $79. 79 under personal. Character assistance. A character assists another character in some way. This assistance can be anything from coming to their aid in battle to giving them a shoulder to cry on. So we need to think, we need to roll to see which characters are invoked for that one. So we need to roll for 2 characters, so we'll do this twice. So we get 19. $77. 19. So 19 is Mrs. Polymer. Ah, interesting. And 77. Choose most logical character. Character assistance. A character assists another character in some way. The assistance can be anything from coming to their aid in battle to giving them a shoulder to cry on. Well, the only thing that makes sense there, and I think that's what I should do, Mrs. Polymer. Let's get my list up to show you. Mrs. Polymer comes to the aid of Vike. Vike ain't dead. Well, let's keep rolling, but that's Mrs. Polymer comes to the aid of Vike. That seems to be the most logical, even though it's crossed off my list. Mrs. Polymer comes to the aid. No. I go with my first instinct. I'm thinking, actually, she comes to the aid of Tick. Maybe offering Tick help to find his parents. That seems to make more sense. I'm gonna go with that. That seems to make interesting sense based on what we've already discussed, that we know about Mrs. Polymer's motivations. Let's keep rolling, but that seems to be the way I'm thinking going with this. 7 is mystery. $59 on mystery. $59 on mystery, the leader. This turning point involves the leader of someone or some organisation. Well, that seems too obvious. That's Mrs. Polymer. Okay, let's roll again. 5. Which is mystery. $57 on mystery. 57 on mystery. Secret information leaked. Information that should not have gotten into the wrong hands has. For instance, outlaws always seem to know when the stagecoach is coming through. Gateway Gulch with the railroad payroll. How are they finding out? Or an enemy spy has learned of the realm's secret military plans. Secret information has been leaked. So, Mrs. Polymer has found Vike's body. She has used her abilities that she's trying to develop to please her master, which we know is to bring back his dead minions. So perhaps she's practicing on others. She's already got some of those abilities. And the secret information that's leaked is something that she's retrieved from Vike about goblin that's living with wolves. Her ally, that's the kind of information she's looking for. Finally, 1. Action. $89 on action. $89 on action. Confrontation. This turning point involves characters meeting in a confrontation that may turn physical if things don't go well. For instance, a character meets the leader of a street gang to get information, but the gang is notoriously twitchy and violent. Well, confrontation. I think on learning the fate of Vike and the knowledge that there's a goblin living in these woods, or maybe it's that, because Vike wouldn't know about Bakari Arjun, just knows about. So on the knowledge that Vike has been murdered by a goblin in the woods, perhaps matching the description, the kind of thing that Mrs. Polymer's looking for, sends hunters. She's not going to do this herself. Hunters to retrieve Tick. Let's invoke some characters, but that's what I'm thinking. choose most logical character. Tick. Why isn't Tick on it? Tick. And choose the confrontation between Tick and ooh, a new character. So we've got ourselves the encounter now, thanks to the help of the Adventure Crafter. That's the first time I've used that. I'm sure I'll get faster, but hope that was helpful on how to do that. So we now know that Mrs. Polymer, displeased that her wolves didn't arrive, sent out some hunters, some investigators, maybe this new character, to find traces of what happened to them. No traces were found. Looks like Mrs. Polymer has had to go out there herself and use her skills. She finds Vike. She interrogates the undead body of Vike, using her skills that she's trying to develop to please this leader that we don't know of. Learns that there's a goblin in these woods matching the description, or matching what she would expect to find if she was trying to track down the family. I think we'll do that for the next session. We'll roll up who this character is, this hunter, bounty hunter, I think. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we roll up. So, if you enjoyed that, take a look at the comments in the video where you'll find all the resources I've used. Leave me some comments. Let me know how you think it went, what this new character might be.